government may gazette compulsory wearing of masks soon. Malaysian Tabligh members to undergo mandatory 14-day quarantine at designated centre. Good evening, you're watching News at 10 with me, Renee Fong. The government is in the process of gazetting the order on compulsory wearing of face masks in public places as soon as possible to contain the spread of COVID-19 infection. Deputy Health Minister Datuk Dr. Noor Azmi Ghazali said the authorities are discussing to set a gazette date soon. Datuk Dr. Noor Azmi said, for now, the ministry is encouraging the people to wear face masks in crowded public places.
Siapa yang patut pakai mask? Kita tahu kan, yang pakai mask ni healthcare workers, symptomatics and the vulnerables, orang tua OKU. Ataupun kalau orang yang non-medics macam kita sekarang ni, siapa yang patut pakai mask? Those who go to crowded places. Kalau tempat you crowded places, you nampak confined places, you jangan semak dia, you got to wear mask.
Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, in a special message on the latest Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO) development on Monday, said the government was considering making the wearing of face masks compulsory as the COVID-19 threat is still not over. This followed a global rise of COVID-19 cases, including Malaysia, and several countries have made wearing of masks compulsory. Meanwhile, 2 new COVID-19 clusters have been detected by the Health Ministry today, namely Hyde Park cluster and Melbourne persons under investigations PUI cluster. Health Director General Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said the Hyde Park cluster was detected on a ship in Port Klang, where its index case is a non-Malaysian citizen who has a travel history to Egypt, while for the Melbourne PUI cluster, its index case is a Malaysian student who returned from Australia. Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham said the Hyde Park cluster was identified following COVID-19 screenings conducted by the ship's crew before returning to their country of origin. To date, a total of 24 people have been screened, with 4 of them confirmed positive for COVID-19, in which all of them are non-citizens and being treated at the Sungai Buloh Hospital, while all the negative close contacts have been quarantined on the ship. He explained that the cluster did not pose a risk of transmission within the community, as it is an isolated import cluster on a ship, and prevention and control measures such as disinfection and decontamination processes had been carried out on the ship. Meanwhile, the index case for the Melbourne cluster detected in Sarawak was a local student who returned from Australia on 15th July. The student boarded 2 planes, namely from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur and then from Kuala Lumpur to Kuching. The Health Director General said the student had no symptoms and was found positive for COVID-19 on 17th July. He said following that, active case detection were conducted and another positive case was detected within the cluster, adding the second case had boarded the same flight from Kuala Lumpur to Kuching as the index case. Datuk Dr. Noor Hisham said 21 people from the flight and related conveyances have been tested and are awaiting results. 40 members of the Malaysian Tabligh group who were stranded in India came home today via Air India Express. Senior Minister Security Cluster Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said all of them would undergo the mandatory 14-day quarantine at the Judicial and Legal Training Institute, ILCAP, in Bangi. In a statement today, the senior minister said health officers from the Health Ministry and the police would be monitoring the quarantine centre. Therefore, any visitors, including family members, would not be allowed. Meanwhile, 389 Malaysians returned home via Kuala Lumpur International Airport and KLIA2 yesterday, with all of them ordered to undergo mandatory quarantine in their respective houses. Senior Minister Security Cluster Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said they returned from Indonesia, Vietnam, Qatar, China, Turkey, India, Philippines, Nepal, and Japan. As of yesterday, the Health Ministry had conducted screening on 22,869 individuals, with 22,791 individuals found negative for COVID-19 after undergoing home quarantine. 78 were found positive and were sent to a hospital for treatment. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri said police conducted 1,453 monitoring visits to check compliance to the Standard Operating Procedure SOP on individuals under home quarantine. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin today wished Happy Sarawak Day to all Sarawakians celebrating to commemorate the deeds and contributions of the state's leaders and freedom fighters. In a posting on his official Facebook page, the Premier said Sarawak is among the states that are always given the priority by the Perikatan Nasional PN government in any development program, especially aimed at closing the economic gap among the districts in the state. In the posting, the Prime Minister also said that he had the opportunity of celebrating the Sarawak Day with the Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS lawmakers at a luncheon held at the Parliament building today. The celebration of Sarawak Day 2020 themed Sarawak Cemerlang will be held virtually and will be streamed live over various social media platforms from Miri today. The state government has fixed Sarawak Day celebration on 22nd July since 2016 and was gazetted as a public holiday to commemorate the day. The last British government governor, Sir Alexander Waddell, symbolically handed over the state administration to the local people in 1963. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah Ibni Almarhum Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Al-Musta'in Billah today granted an audience to Saudi Arabia Ambassador Mahmud Hussein Safid Khatan at Istana Negara. Comptroller of the Royal Household, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, in a statement said Al-Sultan Abdullah had conveyed prayers and well wishes for the swift recovery of King Salman Abdul Aziz Al Saud, the custodian of the two holy mosques. The statement said Al-Sultan Abdullah also extended appreciation to King Salman and the Saudi government for the generous contribution of medical equipment that Malaysia has received. The contribution has assisted the Malaysian health authorities in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. His Majesty greatly valued the assistance and cooperation provided by the Saudi government to the successful repatriation of Malaysians from the kingdom. As of today, 1,222 Malaysians have safely arrived home from the Saudi Arabia via 10 special flights. Meanwhile, Mahmud Hussein said Malaysia is a model country that should be emulated by other Muslim countries for development. This is one of the reasons that Malaysia was chosen as the beneficiary of Makkah Route Initiative or Pre-Clearance e-Hajj program since 2017. The husband of a YouTube sensation has been remanded for 3 days starting today to assist the investigation into an allegation of being in possession of a weapon. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Nabiha Muhammad Noor at the Ipoh Magistrate Court today to enable the investigation to be conducted under Section 6, Subsection 1 of the Corrosive and Explosive Substances and Offensive Weapons Act 1958. It is learned that yesterday, the 29-year-old who was allegedly intoxicated had carried a sickle to the maternity wards at Raja Permaisuri Bainon Hospital looking for a relative, causing a commotion believed due to family misunderstandings. He was arrested by the police soon after. Ipoh District Police Chief ACP A. Asmadi Abdul Aziz confirmed the incident, saying that the case is being investigated. Former Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng has presented himself at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC headquarters today to give his statement in regard to the Penang Undersea Tunnel Project probe. Confirming the matter, MACC Deputy Chief Commissioner Operations Dato' Ahmad Kusairi said Lim arrived at the headquarters at 1 p.m. Prior to this, Pulau Pinang Chief Minister Chow Kun Yeow and several state EXCO members had also given statement to MACC regarding the 6.3 billion ringgit mega project. On 30th June, the MACC arrested a former top officer of the Penang Port Commission (PPC) to facilitate in the investigation of alleged corruption in the project, besides calling several other individuals to have their statements recorded. Coming up, government to form legal team to take action against EU's anti-palm oil campaign. The International Trade and Industry Ministry (MITI) is re-strategizing the action plan and implementing the National Automotive Plan (NAP) 2020, which aims to make the nation's automotive sector more competitive and developed. Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali said the move will help expedite the revival of the automotive sector through the option of investments in a few sectors that made up the automotive sector. Speaking at Dewan Rakyat, the minister said the investment promotion would help the high-technology vehicle and environmentally friendly segment, the development of local talent, the enhancement in the high-value manufacturing, especially for after-sales products, and the application of the latest technology in the automotive supply chain. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said MITI was developing standards for electric vehicles and next-generation vehicles, which were expected to be launched in 2021.
Untuk makluman yang berhormat, pembangunan test bed next generation vehicle ini sedang dibangunkan di Cyberjaya bagi tujuan memudah cara pengujian dan juga pembangunan tempatan teknologi yang berkaitan dengan next generation ini.
On the third national car project, the minister said MITI currently wanted to ensure that the Bumiputra company, which was given the responsibility to develop the project, collaborates with the Malaysian Automotive, Robotics and IoT Institute to make the project a success. The government has disbursed 11.14 billion ringgit to 10.41 million recipients under the Bantuan Prihatin Nasional (BPN) as of 20th July. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said 139 million ringgit has been approved to be distributed to 160,000 successful BPN appellants. Meanwhile, the minister said 3 billion ringgit will be distributed to 4.28 million recipients under Phase 3 of the Cost of Living Assistance BSH 2020 program starting 24th July. It will involve 3.75 million households, 530,000 single individuals aged between 40 and 59, as well as 3.8 million children of BSH recipients aged 18 and below. He added that those who wish to appeal for the aid may do so from 7th August until 6th September via BSH online portal or visit any of the Inland Revenue Board (IRB) Revenue Service Centre and the Urban Transformation Centre branches nationwide. On the Prihatin special grant, he said about 1.64 billion ringgit has been approved for disbursement to 545,000 micro and small and medium-sized enterprises (SMEs). Out of the total amount, 90% or 1.47 billion ringgit has been paid out. The government is forming a cabinet-approved legal team to take action against the European Union (EU's) anti-palm oil campaign via a dispute settlement mechanism under the World Trade Organization (WTO). Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Datuk Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin Aman Razali said the ministry is taking proactive action to safeguard the oil palm industry, which includes promoting palm oil nutrition at the international level.
Untuk kita menaja beberapa profesor di bidang ini untuk membuat kajian tentang kebaikan bagi minyak sawit dan dijadikan sebagai jurucakap kita di peringkat antarabangsa menerusi kajian yang mereka laksanakan.
Datuk Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin said this in response to a supplementary question at Dewan Rakyat on the ministry's action against the EU's palm oil boycott threat. Earlier on, the minister said the Plantation Industries and Commodities Ministry has taken steps to boost palm oil exports, including strengthening the existing export markets, particularly India, China, Pakistan and the United States. It will also continue promoting oil palm products more aggressively to penetrate the African and West Asian regional markets. The government may consider terminating TH Plantations Berhad's THP asset sale as there are many matters that need to be reviewed. Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department Religious Affairs, Ahmad Marzuq Shahari, said the sale of THP's assets would not resolve the company's debt burden. Instead, it would require a debt restructuring to manage the cash flow. Speaking at Dewan Rakyat, the Deputy Minister said the decision to divest the 14 THP subsidiaries, which own a combined 76,957 hectares or 76.2% of the group's land, was made during the Pakatan Harapan administration in August 2019.
Mengikut semakan Jabatan Perdana Menteri Bahagian Agama, daripada 14 buah anak syarikat ini, 4 daripadanya adalah syarikat yang mencatatkan keuntungan, iaitu THP Ibuk, THP Pelita Sadong, THP Pelita Gedong dan Hydroflow. Keputusan untuk menjual ladang-ladang ini telah dibuat semasa harga minyak sawit mentah CPO mengalami kejatuhan yang serius, yang mana menyebabkan anak-anak syarikat tabung haji plantasi ini mengalami kerugian. Kejatuhan harga minyak sawit mentah ini adalah disebabkan oleh tindakan-tindakan kerajaan terdahulu yang tidak menjaga hubungan dagangan dengan negara China dan juga India, yang akhirnya menyebabkan ekspor sawit kita jatuh mendadak.
On THP's disposal of its 70% equity interest in the THP-YT Plantation Suram Berhad to TDM Berhad, a subsidiary of the Terengganu State Government, Ahmad Marzuki said the 7 million ringgit sale of the THP-YT, which owns a total plantation land of 2,594 hectares in Terengganu, was being finalized and the transaction was done at market price. Also being finalized was the disposal of 100% of Bumi Surya Ventures Suram Berhad and Maju Warisan Mas Suram Berhad, which owns 6,514 hectares in Sarawak, to Nan Bumi Putra Company Tamako Plantation Suram Berhad. And that concludes this evening's news at 10. In a top story, government may gazette compulsory wearing of masks soon following increase in news clusters. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon for more updates on the latest happenings around the world. I'm Renee Fong. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a